Good morning. Oh, your audio is not coming through. There we go.
That's better.
Now I can hear you.
That's better. Now you can hear me. Yeah. Good stuff. How are things?
I'm good.
Good.
I am actually in Charlottesville for once.
Oh my gosh. Yay.
Last week I was in Cincinnati, so now I'm finally back home.
Good stuff. Hey,
Yeah.
you're gonna get a package from me in the next couple of days.
I got it yesterday, actually.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes.
How many books were in it? 2 or 3?
I'll be honest, I haven't even opened it. I got it, like I found it on my porch like right before I went to bed. So
No worries. I think I owe you a book.
Okay.
I don't think the show up book is in there. If it's not, just shoot me a quick message and I'll send it out to you.
Okay, perfect. I will look after this meeting.
Yeah, no worries. I was juggling multiple packages to be sent out, and I think that got missed.
Understand.
Yeah. All right. Here comes Allison.
I have been juggling more things than I care to count. I used to be one of those people that would have 3 tabs open, and I would make fun of my boss that would have 25 tabs open. And now I'm like, when did I have 8 windows open?
Oh, that's like on an average day for me. Yeah. Hey, Allison.
Every single bad habit I made fun of him for, I now have. I'm like, this is not good.
So, I apologize for being a couple minutes late, and 2, for whatever reason, because I'm on my monster machine. That's what it sounds so weird.
That just sounds so funny.
It's not allowing me to access the camera.
Okay.
I apologize, guys. Otherwise, I would be happy to show my face, but they don't use Zoom at Monster. They use WebEx.
Okay.
They use something else. And it looks like the machine is precluding me from using the camera.
Got it. Okay. Well, we will just enjoy your name and listen to the dulcet tones of your voice today.
And I can look at your faces. Well, I missed meeting with you guys last week.
Well, actually, it didn't work out for anybody, so we're just gonna add it to the end. That's all. All just kind of worked out.
What was funny is that they scheduled all these trainings for me, and virtually my entire days last week were filled full with trainings, which was really cool, considering I didn't have trainings like that with my previous employer.
No. Well, good stuff. Hey, Craig. Can we hear you?
Good morning.
Oh,
I'm on my phone.
Well,
I'm on my phone. I could not get through my computer again, so I don't know what it is.
All right, it's all good. So I sent you all an email yesterday, and just wanted to give you a little bit of heads up as we continue this conversation around level 5 opportunities. And wanted to have a conversation today around what's called opportunity blocking. So in the last time we met, we talked about what are all the opportunities that are in front of you, whether you're starting a new job or you've been in the job for a while. There are things you are naturally excited about and are looking for. Like Allison, you just talked about all the trainings that you've had that you didn't get to have in the other job. That's a huge opportunity, right? Not only do you get the capacity building and the training and such, but there's also that whole idea about I'm being supported, I'm being valued, right? There's opportunities here for me to learn and all those kinds of things. And when we think about level 5 energy, we have to look at it from this place where if I can spot the opportunity, I have to spot where opportunities may also block and how to get around or get through that. So Craig and I had a one-on-one a couple days ago. So if you haven't scheduled your one-on-one, please make sure to go ahead and get that in when you want. But we talked a little bit about this, Craig, and if you're okay, I'd like to start with you today to just give Katie and Allison kind of a little high-level overview of what we talked about in regards to the opportunities that are being blocked for you right now in this job. And then we can just take it forward a little bit and talk about what maybe you've done since that conversation to get us started. You okay with that?
Sure.
You okay?
Sure. Yeah. So we had talked about managing up to people in my organization that I do not, have authority over. We're running into a little bit of an issue, or my team is running into a little bit of an issue. IT's been a challenge for the last month, and they will not allow us to hook up our printers or scanners at home, which is hindering the ability for a lot of our employees to really do their jobs. So that's been, it's been interesting. I'm still trying to push for access to do it. So it's been kind of an arguing thing. Actually, my boss and I, we had a golf outing yesterday. I had another conversation with my boss about it, trying to see what we can do to get IT to agree with it. So basically, we worked around a solution. My team's going to be getting new computers. They haven't received yet, touchscreen computers, so we can obtain signatures right on our computer. So that would be a big help. But the problem is, one, when you have a management company that sends you all of the wrong marketing materials that we got on Friday. So that was a new bump in the road that we just hit. Wrong plan altogether. So guess what we needed to do? Print things off, and we couldn't. So now I had to tell my team to go to Staples. Again, just take time. It's a lot of times it's the little things that add up to a lot of time wasted that we shouldn't have to be dealing with, because we have a very large launch with 18 new contracts. So we're working around that. I've sent multiple emails just trying to get in touch with them to see if they would reconsider. Haven't gotten anywhere regarding that at this point, but it's my next step today is actually picking up the phone and having another conversation. The biggest concern that IT has is the PHI that's involved with our business. They just don't want
PHI?
our protected health information. So, date of birth, your address, Medicare numbers. So people that can access information off of the data identifiers. So the problem that I'm actually a little nervous to tell the IT department is that what they're doing is using their personal phones, scanning it with their personal phone, putting in their personal email, and then emailing it to themselves to be able to get their job done, which I think is much more exposure than allowing us to do it from our work, to keep it separated. Lord knows I get a lot of junk mail and I don't even know what's inside, as far as spam and who's probably hacked into some of my emails. I think that's a greater risk. But in a way, I'm a little nervous to say that, but I think I'm at the point where I need to say we're at a greater risk if we don't allow us to have it hooked up to our, at-home network, that there might be some bigger exposure. So,
okay, let me stop you here for a second.
mhm.
So, for Katie and Allison, I'm just kind of curious, what are some of the things that you're picking up from what Craig has shared, just in terms of the roadblocks that he's kind of experiencing right now? I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
So this is Allison. And it's funny that he's talking about this because I just scanned 3 security forms on my phone because we have the same problem. We have the same problem at Monster. So, and it's not, well, it is that they won't allow us to hook anything up from our personal networks. And I think it has more to do from a security standpoint. I agree that it is a pain in the butt not to be able to hook up the personal printer, and could create potential, I guess, security exposure by emailing these files to yourself, especially when employees are not trained on how to send documents with PII information back into the Monster network, right? I happen to know how to do it, so I'm not, as much concerned from that perspective, but I do commiserate with Craig on the pain in the butt, having to do that. But when there's a will, there's a way. So I have to get the security paperwork done. And so I'm just using the Adobe scanner on my phone and getting the work done.
So that was another thing that we
really
tried.
Nothing I can do.
We can't even use our work phones are even shut down to where we can't even take screenshots on our work phone, which is again.
What's funny is that I have a work phone, Craig. Like Monster gave me a separate phone, and I haven't even tried that. I'm using my personal phone to get this done, only because it's already been 2 weeks. I need to get the security paperwork done. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to manage my customers. But it's definitely a concern I've raised to Monster, and hopefully they will handle it. I don't know, how quickly that will be handled. And I don't yet understand all of the security requirements from a federal standpoint to be able to comment on that, having come from private sector.
Okay.
And so their situation may be totally different. I don't know.
My past experience was with a much larger organization, which I thought would be much more secure. And they were from my previous organization, the management company. But this organization is like, you can't do anything, which at the end of the day, it does slow us down a little bit. If we get those computers in the hands of my employees, that will definitely speed things up. So just to kind of give you guys an example. So normally we meet with a lot of residents that the first thing that we normally do is meet with the residents that make their own decisions. And again, we can't print anything off, or we have to bother the nursing home staff to take time to open their email. Hey, can you print this document? Can you do this? Can you do that? When they shouldn't be needing to do so. So it just seems like everything happens for a reason. You get the wrong marketing materials that you can't even use. And now you got to print your own, and you can't. So we're doing everything that we can to utilize the technology that we do have. But in the event that we do need to utilize paper, it's almost impossible.
Katie, do you have any thoughts on this?
Just curious, has IT offered you any solutions? It just seems like from what you're saying, they just keep saying, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. But what solutions are they actually offering?
Well, the only thing is the computer. A new computer, a touch screen.
Got it.
So again, following up, and John, like we had talked, I'm going to be calling them until they pick up.
Yes.
Basically,
Yeah.
because the email it doesn't seem to be working. Following up through email doesn't seem to be working, and then you try to get. It's very difficult to get them on a call because their calendar is pretty much blacked out every day all week for months. Like you can't, it's like the same, it almost looks like it's intentional. It's like, don't bother me, I need all the time during the day. So it's almost impossible to schedule a call, just so that what I wanted to do was explain what the reps are going through and what they're trying to accomplish, so they can understand the challenges that they're facing. But it's not really, other than there's no other solutions, because I even was hoping that maybe we could just have an additional training course, like Allison was mentioning about, what Regency's policy is with IT and, protected information. Maybe if there's a quick training class or something that we need to be within their compliance, that, okay, they can attest that they've taken the training, pass a quiz, and only print out or scan the items that are needed. Heck, even if we just had a scanner, that would actually be great, because then we could put the things that we'd have printed, we can put it into the computer.
Right, so Craig, so thinking about everything that's going on in your brain with this, right? So remember when we talk about level 5 lives in the head, right? It's all the opportunities and stuff that we have. So if here's level 5, okay, and you let me know how close I am with this, right? But when the opportunities get blocked for us, it's very easy to go to level 3 or to even go to level 1. So at level 3, we start rationalizing a whole lot about well, IT won't let me do this, or somebody needs to get this person to do that and they're hard to reach. And so we start rationalizing a lot of different scenarios to help us get through that opportunity block. When nothing gets done, we go to level 1. That feeling of I can't win, I can't get stuff done, I can't support my team, y'all suck. That's just kind of where we, right? That's just kind of where we go with that. So is it fair enough to say that you're kind of ping-ponging back and forth between level 5, level 3, level 1 to level 3?
I think it's straight to 1, straight to 5,
yeah.
straight to 1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So we can talk about opportunities and how they live at level 5, but when we get blocked, we have to acknowledge the other energy levels that happen, because that's what's going to allow us to take action. So when we think about taking action, we can sometimes leverage level 2, which is that fighter energy, which is I need this for my team. This has to get done. This is a compliance issue. This is a protected information issue. And one of the things that Craig alluded to that we talked about was get on the phone and call IT. And when they don't answer, and be like, I'm going to call you every hour until you pick up this damn phone. And see what way you can get. Hi, Alice. You just popped in there. Hi.
I figured it out.
All right. Good stuff. So these are the kind of things this week that I want you and everybody else to kind of focus on is what's the block? How do we get through it? Okay.
How about Hakuna Matata?
Yeah. Right. But getting through it means you got to get outside of level 5 in order to make that happen.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did. Like I said, I'm a person who just doesn't give up. And so, I mean, I like Katie's response. What solution did they offer?
Right.
Going back and saying, okay, I can't do this. So what is your suggested solution, and putting it back on them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm sure, Craig, you already did that, where you put it
Yeah,
back
well,
on them.
the solution was the computers, but then again, I haven't heard from him. Because I told him we didn't have, if my team did have working touch screens, they're not working. So he's like, I'll look into it.
Wow, your company has touch screens? I want to go there.
Yeah, they're
we don't even have touch screens.
ThinkPad touch screens. Yeah.
Oh,
all the
cool.
salespeople within the organization are, that was another thing I found out, that we're all supposed to have them. But I don't, I know one of them just found out, oh, well, my touchscreen is only working when I use the specific stylus. Mine works. I use my finger or whenever I want, which, again, there's different models that they have that I know of when we first were going through orientation. So I know they're not all the same.
Craig, how old is your company?
Well, the company I'm working for now, almost 2 years, basically.
Yeah.
The parent company, a lot longer.
Yeah.
years.
I mean, 2 years and like these are kind of, baby growing pains kind of thing, right? Like figure out the IT stuff and all those kind of things, which makes it even more frustrating. Yeah.
Did you want me to talk about the motivating factors with my team? I didn't know if that was something that you also wanted me to talk about.
Yeah, can we touch on that? Yeah, quickly, let's touch on that just a little bit.
So so on Friday we launched sales to our expansion for next year, which we have to start. So to try to get them to be motivated and excited, there's a lot of leads. We have 270 something leads right now with 3 people. So roughly about 90 or so leads per person to work. And we also still have our end of the month goal for our membership as well. So to try to keep them motivated, I told them, if we can meet X number by 90% of our budget, because we're really far behind right now, so not even hitting our goal, I told them I would take them to the Dallas Cowboy game on the Sunday, the 7th, I think it is. And
can I go? I want to go. Hello.
if you want to help make some phone calls and get some enrollments, that would be fantastic.
Hey,
So
yeah, I'm there.
I had a hard time sleeping last night. I went on and started just checking the work to see how we're tracking. Sales are very low, considering the amount of leads that we have, and only 22 phone calls between the 3 of them have been made in 2 days. So I was rather upset this morning.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they're not Cowboys fans.
They are, because they were talking about wanting to try to go to a Cowboys game. And that's when I said, hey, we hit these numbers, we're going. So what I ended up doing was if I can't count on them to get the job done, I put time on their calendar on Wednesday for 4 hours where we're going to sit together and make phone calls, which I don't want to do or have to do, but it doesn't seem that they're putting the time out through the day to do it. And by the way, the average length of call is 2 minutes and like 30 seconds.
That's ridiculous.
So if one person made one phone call, one was 12 and the other was 9 or something around there. So like, man, you're not even spending 30 minutes in 2 days. Pick it up. Let's go.
Yeah.
So
Well, I don't know what else you can do to motivate them. Like they must not. All I'm thinking in the back of my head is they must not be real Cowboy fans.
So I've also told them we don't get Black Friday off. I also told them if that I'll give them Black Friday off. If so, we have 2 different goals. So for us to be able to go to the Cowboys, we need to have 90% to our goal for 11-1. And then to get the day off, we need to make sure that we're pacing for the open enrollment expansion buildings. And with 22 calls and 5 enrollments, we're right now probably about 40 apps behind pace already. So
I'll join your team part-time. Where are the seats?
right in your home.
You would have been
for the
laughing.
Cowboys game?
Yeah, for the Cowboys game.
Well, right now I'm not buying anything. So until I know that they're going to pick it up where I feel comfortable or confident that it's going to get done.
So
That's really surprising to me.
When you think about this motivation issue with your team and how these 2 things don't seem to work, what are your next steps in terms of finding that motivator that's going to get them to produce the results that you want? I mean, I know you're not really happy about this. We kind of nicknamed it the babysitting part on Wednesday, to sit with them for 4 hours while they're all making phone calls and stuff like that.
Yep.
But what do you think your next move is?
I don't know. I truly, I'm hoping that putting the time on the calendar that they realize that they need to put, maybe again, it's just a small window of time that they need to make phone calls in the morning, afternoon, before the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
they don't answer, you got to keep going, got to keep pushing through. I was going to have another little mini competition, see who, maybe who it gets the most appointments scheduled. I haven't really thought about it. Normally over my experience, when I've had a competition, even if it was a short span competition, after it ended, the productivity was still high and kept going after the competition was over. So I'm hoping that on Wednesday, when I have a mini competition instead of like the big picture, I'm hoping that maybe that will get them going. I think maybe I'll buy them lunch as soon as we're off the call. Whoever has the most amount of appointments scheduled, or if somebody gets an enrollment, maybe that'll trump how many appointments get scheduled, and then I'll buy them lunch or something along those lines, because I know they love food. So we'll see if that helps.
Have
I was
you?
gonna say,
Have
we
you
had
had-
oh, go ahead, Allison.
No, go ahead, Katie.
Had O'Neill on our podcast this past week, the former head of the 76ers and the Devils. And he was saying, like, with their sales team, that was one of the reasons why they were able to find success and like create a fun environment, even when they had like 10 wins. He's like, they had walk-up songs for like every single time they hit a sale. So like they, like they would go and like find the small victories of, like playing a walk-up song every time they got a sale. They celebrated one ticket sale, 5 ticket sales, like they created so many milestones along the way that I think the more rewards that it created such a fun environment. I know you said like having lunch after this big sales session, maybe more rewards as opposed to the big picture to give them some milestones along the way might help.
So we're all remote. So I
Yeah.
don't know how I would be able to play a song. I think that is awesome if you're in an office. One thing that we have going on right now, we do have a chain or a group text. Whenever we get an enrollment, we ring a bell. And just, it's kind of like who's the last person to get the enrollment. And we always, there's one of my employees that always, I feel like is the sandbagger of the group that will wait until the end, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 and be like, I won, see ya. So it is fun. It makes me laugh. I know they're laughing about it, but again, it's just trying to get that productivity a little bit higher, or a lot higher in my case right now. So
yeah.
All right, so those are 2 big blocks in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So your team's motivation and all the stuff going on with IT. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take this into the Facebook group. And I'm going to post some questions for all of you in the Facebook group. But, one of the things, Craig, that I just want you to think about, you don't have to say anything here, but like, think about the one thing that if you got through that block this week, it's the most ROI for you. Right. And it may be the team, it may be the IT issues, it may be something else. But like, let's think about what that one breakthrough is going to be and what that'll look like. And then let's just see how we can progress monitor that stuff this week. Okay. So,
John, can you send the Facebook group again?
Yep, I can do that.
Thank you.
Katie, while I am doing that, can you share with us a little bit? Like, do you have you want to give us an update on things or an opportunity block you got going on?
Sure. So my situation's a little interesting. I am actually 50-50 between 2 different companies, but trying to go 100% all in on one company. And so there's a lot of opportunities, but the problem is like, I have no control over any of that. And so, like I have a lot of conversations about it, talk to the leadership about it. There's things going on in the back end, but it's a process that's been going on for a couple of months now. And it's getting harder and harder, mainly to manage my time. And like, there's projects that are on one end, but then, like opportunities come up with the company that's going to be my 100%. So like I tend to prioritize that one because, well, I know I'm going to be with them more long term. So I find myself in the middle a lot. I find myself I feel like in a mediator role, but I have no control over the outcome one way or the other. Like I'm just in a holding pattern. And I find myself that way with some of our clients that we work with too. It's like we're pushing initiatives. We're kind of mediating to push these initiatives through, but we don't have anybody who's truly owning it on our client side. And so sometimes things get stuck. And I feel like the opportunities for us to do a good job are not always carrying through. And that's where I feel like my opportunities to continue to grow are not coming to fruition.
Can you tell us a little more? Like, can you give us some insight into like a specific example where you feel like you're just stuck in the middle and you're not getting anywhere with things?
Yeah. So one of our big deliverables was creating training videos, particularly for like the third parties that and event staff that work events, work the games for one of our clients. And so we created these. We had one platform that they could use where we would be able to check who was actually watching the videos and be able to say, hey, John Smith didn't watch the video. Are you sure you want him working this week? Or like you need to follow up with him and make sure he's watching these training videos. Since they are not using that platform, now we don't really have a way of holding people accountable for watching these videos. So it's like, well, we sent it out in one email, but there's nothing we can do to force them to watch it. So it's one of the biggest deliverables on our project, and we kind of need it to go through, but there's nobody forcing it through from our client side to the people that actually need to watch it. So like we've had 6 views out of probably 800 people that work a football game.
Can you create a test or a small quiz from the material?
The problem is we just don't have, like, we could have if we were using the platform that we were encouraging them to use, but they're just not pushing it on their end.
So then what happens when they're not watching the videos? Where does that directly impact you?
I mean, we haven't heard anything yet, but what we fear is like long-term when the contract comes up for renewal, it's, well, did we actually do enough to deliver on our end of the contract, even though we did our part, but it wasn't carried through.
Mm-hmm. Who's the owner then of that piece?
There's no one true owner within our client, which is the problem. Is like we have about 10 different people that we work with. And so we're trying to leverage 10 different people depending on who we need on certain projects. Some are a little bit more invested and care about the work that we're doing more than others. So that's where we get stuck, is some people that don't care about the work that we're doing there are not pushing for the work that we need them to.
So if there's no owner,
mm-hmm.
and then the accountability piece is there's no owner for that either.
Right.
When you see all this playing forward, then what's the potential risk of you losing that client moving forward because of this?
I mean, we're in a renewal year. So, I mean, we could potentially lose this client by the end of the year, mm-hmm. especially if this major component of it is not executed on.
Okay.
And I just came on board, like this was a 3-year deal. So for me, like as I'm taking over in a renewal year, and it's wanting to make sure that I feel like I'm not the one who failed, and I'm not the one who's the reason that the contract is not renewed.
So what do you have control over, you yourself?
I have control over, trying to push it as much as possible. I have control over going to my boss and saying, here's where I'm stuck. we have the ability to go to certain other individuals in the organization to say, here's where we're hitting some roadblocks. Can you do anything about it? So it's then up to other individuals who don't have direct oversight of this particular element of the project to now influence it and hope that we can get it to actually being delivered.
So I'm listening to you say all of that, and it doesn't sound really convincing.
No.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because there's not a lot of ownership and accountability on our client side, which we shouldn't have to worry about, but it does affect us because then it could be that they don't value our work.
Who manages the client?
I do.
Okay. Who backs you up in managing the client?
Our managing partner. So my boss.
Allison, I'm going to tag you in here. You got any thoughts?
I'm thinking.
Okay. Keep thinking. Keep thinking. You know, Katie, I mean, first of all, it's not uncommon.
Yeah.
Right. It's not uncommon, especially in a contract cycle. You know, ownership or PMs may switch out back and forth kind of thing. And so it's not uncommon that the quote unquote new person comes in on the renewal year and it's like, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
The client you're dealing with is like, we got it. We know what we need to do kind of thing. Just check the box type, all that kind of stuff. So very similarly to Craig, like it's that here you are at level 5 with this opportunity to lead this project. And there's a lot of bouncing around between levels 3 and 1 in feeling like, what do you have control over? Where can you get the win or just, I'm just not getting the win at all. So if there was one thing you could do over the next week that would either help you reestablish the relationship with the client or get the win in regards to something with this project, what would that look like for you?
So our next step would be going there. There's one person that I've been going to who manages a specific sport with our client. So the next step is going to her boss. And it's, unfortunately, that's probably the route we have to go. And you hate kind of going around people and basically saying, hey, your person's not doing their job. And in a way, it's affecting our job. But unfortunately, I think that's the route we have to go. We can present it in as positive as a manner as possible of saying, look, here's an opportunity. You've got 3 home football games left. We're trying to help your staff and your game experience. But this is not being delivered.
What do you think happens if you do that?
You know, I've been on the side of things where it creates a really negative or hostile work environment. I mean, I remember feeling like I was just on edge, that I couldn't do anything right. And you try to avoid that. I try to avoid creating a similar situation for other people.
Right. So level 1.
Yeah.
Right. Feel like I can't win. Why bother? Right. You get that awful feeling in your stomach.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I just dread this.
Right.
You know? And so when we go to level 1, let's acknowledge that level 1 is the place where we don't do, I shouldn't say we don't do anything because that's not right. We choose to protect ourselves. right? It's like, I'm not going to fight that battle. I'm not going to have that conversation because I just don't want to deal with the stress or nothing good's going to come out of it.
Right.
Right. And so we just go inward and we protect ourselves and be like, okay, totally, totally good here.
Yeah.
Right. It is this like weighing it all out between like, what's the gain versus what's the pain. And when the gain gets to be heavier, right? When we see there's potential outcome that's going to be more beneficial, we choose the route that's going to give us the gain. When it's too painful, we're like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Right. It's why when we think about having to escalate, or Craig, like when we were talking before about like, how do we manage up and what's that going to get us? We have to weigh out, because once we do that, we can't take it back. You can't escalate the situation and be like, all right, let's make I never had this conversation with you. It's already done, you know? So hearing all of that, like, what do you think's your best move?
I mean, I kind of like to present options, and that's where I have felt like I've been stuck lately. And I've been stuck in that way in a lot of different regards, you know, personally and professionally. It's like, I can't create options outside of, you know, like Craig said, can you come up with a test? Can you come up with a quiz? Yes, we could. I just don't know how to execute that. I mean, if they're not pushing out the videos, they're not going to push out the test. I don't have the email addresses to send to all of this part-time staff. And I know that, you know, the client is not going to print 800 one question surveys for people to fill out as they report to the stadium for work. So as much as I love that idea, it's like, how do we actually deliver that?
Right. Yeah. And when you feel like you can't create options, the blocks get bigger.
Yes.
Yeah. You have a colleague, a thought partner you can bounce this around with a little bit that you trust?
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing that, I mean, our company is like 5 people. So I have a really great relationship with my managing partner, and we bounce a lot of ideas off of each other. So it's great that I can not only say, here's where I'm stuck, but can you help me come up with ideas?
How fair is it at this point right now that part of the worry or concern is that if for any reason the company were to lose the client, the fear would be that it would look badly on you?
I don't think they've already said that, because I've even admitted those fears to them. And they've said, you know, it would not be on me. I mean, the scope of this project has changed drastically. It was a 3-year contract, and they've already had to change the project so many times in so many ways because of COVID and not having fans at events and not really having events last year. So it's kind of the nature of the business, is that this thing has changed and evolved.
Are they a pain in the butt kind of client?
In some ways. Some people are great. Some people just don't want to change. And we're forcing change.
Got it. Change is the opportunity.
You know, we have some people that we work with that print off every email.
Yep.
You know, when we're a remote company and we do everything by Slack and Zoom and everything else, and then you have people that are printing off emails.
I wish I could do that.
I mean, you should see the stack on this person's desk. The clutter would drive me insane. But they print every email.
Yeah, there's some stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So some things to think about.
Yeah.
Any Allison or Craig, any thoughts for Katie on this? Any
I've
observations?
been in the same predicament, the fear of losing a customer. And I actually did lose a customer. So I understand your feeling on that. And it actually made me sick to my stomach. But
Yeah.
if you have the confidence that you've done everything possible to retain the customer and they still choose to leave, then that's not on you. And it's not a bad reflection on you, in my personal opinion. It's business,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And, you know, some things you just have no control over, and you have to accept that and be okay with it and move on to the next one, move on to the next opportunity, and just walk away from it.
Yeah.
But don't stress yourself out. I've done that. So I kind of know where you've been,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's not, you have no control over it, really. You
Yeah.
can only do what you can do, is my thought.
Mhm.
And so when they walk, you just say, okay, move on. And the last time
Yeah.
it happened to me was February. And I know that I did everything possible. And it had nothing to do with me personally. It was not personal. It was, we did not offer the technology that they needed in order to be able to successfully analyze their surveys.
Mhm.
It's just bottom line. We didn't have what they needed. And there was nothing that was going to change that in any amount of time that was going to retain them. So in your mind, my question would be, do you feel that you've done at this point everything you can possibly do to foster that relationship and for the customer to choose to stay with you?
Yes. I mean, so far I've only come on this project in June, and technically our contract is you spend 1 week out of the month, and I just spent an entire month up there to help them with their football operations.
Then there you go. You put in 120%.
Yeah.
Right? It sounds like you put in 150%.
Yeah.
If you were up there for a month, right? But I think that
Right.
says a lot. And if that doesn't speak volumes to them, then do you really want them as a customer?
Mhm.
If they choose to walk, that's the other way to look at it. Really? I'm going to spend a month on the ground with you. Who else would do that?
Yeah.
Would the competitor have done that?
No.
Okay, well then there you have your answer, right? So
Yeah.
feel good. My thought is, feel good about the fact that you gave it your all. You did
Mhm.
everything that you could. It is what it is. Let the chips fall where they fall.
Yeah.
And even though you put in 150%, it may not go your way. And I
Mhm.
was in a similar situation in February where I put in 150% at least, if not more. And I knew that the fact we didn't have the technology, I had no control over it. I didn't. So I just kind of had to say, you know what? It didn't work out.
Yeah.
And it's not bad on you. You just say, okay, move on, next opportunity. And you just keep
Yep.
giving it your all. And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
But it does happen. And, I'm telling you, it happened to me in February.
Yeah.
And it hurts. It's like a punch in the gut. And
Uh-huh.
that's what it feels like, right? And you're
Right.
like, oh, it looks bad on me. Oh, people are going to think this is my fault. And honestly, I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I don't care.
Yeah.
If you want to pin something on me, you go ahead and pin it on me. I know from an integrity standpoint, I did everything possible.
Yeah.
But it sounds like your boss supports you from what I heard. If I heard you correctly.
Very much
And
so.
as long as they're aware of the risk, you've
Mhm.
escalated to them and said, this is a real possibility. They may choose not to stay with us.
Mhm.
Then that's the most important thing, right? Is that you exercised integrity, you put it out there, And
Yeah.
if your boss backs you, then you're good. You're good.
Thank you.
So I give you like amends for going up there for a month,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it was a long haul, but it was good.
But no matter what, in my opinion, it was worth it.
Yes.
Either way, whichever way it falls, it doesn't matter because
Right.
ultimately you did what you needed to do. You took the high road, right?
Yeah, I mean, it helped establish relationships. It kind of gave us some momentum we needed to kind of restart this project after not having fans for an entire year. I mean, there was a lot of value to it. So it was definitely worth it, even if this was the only year that we get to do it.
Mhm.
And
it was an experience, right? That'll never be taken away from you.
Correct. A lot of really fun games.
Mhm. Katie,
It sounds
any
it.
like final thoughts here? What's coming up for you, or just anything from the discussion?
No, I think that's it. I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Okay. I can remember several years ago sitting in a meeting about a particular client. It was a $240 million contract over 6 years. And so there were about 15 people in the room and about 10 people on the phone. And one of the senior leaders at the top of his lungs said, "Who the hell is managing the client?" And the guy who had the ownership of the contract is sitting like 2 seats away from me. And he like puts his head down and like raises his hand. And the senior leader goes, "Why are you not managing the client?" And he goes, "I am. It's a $240 million client. We've never had anybody this big before. And I don't want to lose them." And the senior leader goes, "But you're letting them walk all over you." And he goes, "But they're a $240 million client."
Yeah.
He was off the project in 2 weeks.
Wow.
He could not handle, like, it was literally like everything that they said, he was giving it to him, like even stuff that was like out of scope. And they're like, "You have to be able to say no."
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the most uncomfortable meetings I have ever been in, because you could just see this person like go into themselves and be like, "Oh crap." like getting called out in front of everybody, you know? And there were conversations afterwards. It's just like, "I don't want the stress. Take me off. Like, take me off," you know? And that contract was a beast.
Yeah.
I remember going down there for a meeting, and someone from their leadership team, I was carrying a bunch of boxes. She walked through the door. She saw me, walked through the door, and let it slam right on me. And I said, "Excuse me." And she goes, "I don't hold doors for people."
Wow.
At that point, I didn't care it was a $240 million contract. I went to her boss.
Yeah.
And I said, "We have a problem." And I told the project manager afterwards, he's like, "I wish you wouldn't have done that." And I was like, how about we wish she wouldn't have slammed the door in my face? Can we start there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get asked back. I didn't care. So it's all good. I mean, these are the kinds of things where, you know, we can, like, I often say, like, we have to look at the opportunities from the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we got to go to ugly in order to get to the good, right? So, you know, for Katie and Craig, what you both shared today, like, it's a little messy, right? It's part of your leadership right now where it's just a little bit messy. And part of it is for you to kind of figure out what those next steps are going to be. Right. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll upload the recording. I'll put some questions in the Facebook group. Just go in, answer those. We'll keep the conversation going a little bit. And then Allison, we're gonna put you in the hot seat, or the focus seat rather, up first next time we meet. But in the couple minutes we have left, can you just give us an update on how the new job is going and all the trainings and stuff?
So I would say that overall it's going well. However, it is slow. And I say that just because I'm not really able to do anything until my security paperwork goes through. And right now they're telling me January.
Yep.
So basically at this point, it's, yeah, I know, Katie. That's why I was like volunteering to make calls for Craig.
I don't know what I would do with that much time off. I'm like one day and I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing is I've just been going into the application a lot. We have a demo site. Every day I'm formulating questions. It is a very complex site. The Monster site is. And I'm finding things to keep me busy. Whether it's other training classes outside of Monster. Luckily, I have one more cybersecurity privacy training I need to finish. I'll probably finish that up today. I'm usually really good at finding things to do. But I think that there's one woman that they hired back as a contractor. She used to be with Monster full time, but then she left to go to Oracle. She thought the money was really good, but then they were working her 60 to 70 hours a week. And then she decided to come back to Monster as a contractor part-time. And she's been very kind enough to set up daily meetings with me to kind of go over stuff and kind of share some of her knowledge. So that's keeping me a little bit busy, but I probably won't have anything exciting to share with all of you until I actually get into the swing of things. So I apologize for my start being so slow that I can't really share much other than to comment on, hey, I'll make some calls, Craig.
Oh, Allison,
If you had a
say that
license,
now,
I'd
but
hire
wait.
you right away.
See, Craig would be laughing because I'm a real Cowboys fan. Like, yep, my toes are painted blue with my stars on my toes, on my big toes. I had my jersey on yesterday, my sweatshirt. It was funny because I live in the DC area. And so, of course, people are giving you the eyeball, and it's like, I don't care. I really don't.
Mhm.
And I can say I'm from Texas, and that's why. So there you have it.
Absolutely.
Well, I have
So-
always struggled because I've been an Eagles fan, and the Cowboys have always managed to draft somebody from Penn State every single year. So they had Sean Lee forever, who was one of my favorites, and now they have Micah Parsons, and now I'm forced to root for the Cowboys every once in a while, or at least root for
Yay,
them.
yay. Well, you can always change. I kind of tease my dad about that. And that's a long story, but my mom finally dragged him back to Texas. He's always been a Washington fan or a Green Bay fan, everything but a Dallas fan. And you would have thought he would have learned his lesson, because I remember when my mom brought him home, and my grandfather used to tell this story. She brought him home during football season, and I can't remember, they were playing the Raiders or I don't know, somebody. But my dad actually started rooting for the opposite team in my grandpa's house. And he's like, no, son, you're going to sit outside on the porch. And he literally kicked him out. He had to be outside until the end of the game. I'm like, Dad, when do you give up and you just become a Cowboys fan? I'm like, now you live in Dallas. Hello.
Yeah.
You might as well give it up. So
My coworker was saying the other day that he and his dad were really close and they're diehard Yankees fans. So his brother, just to be spiteful, decided to become a Red Sox fan. And they thought that it would like just be a phase and he would grow out of it. And he's so stubborn that like it's been a thing for 20 years now.
Yeah.
but at least they have a rival, right? That's kind of
Oh
fun.
yeah.
That's too good.
But I before we leave, John, I want to thank you for the box you sent me.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad you got it.
I received it yesterday. The only thing is you didn't sign your book for me. So now I'm going to have to meet you somewhere so you can
I
sign
didn't
my
sign the
book.
Your Mid-Career GPS.
No.
No,
I
I
looked, I
did.
was
It's on the title page. You have to go in a few pages, but it's signed.
Oh, it is?
It
Okay.
is.
I'm going to look.
You look.
And I love the Skinny Pop and I love the chocolate.
It's on that page.
Okay, I
You
will
have to
take
go
a
in a
look.
couple pages, but yes, it is signed.
Okay, because
Yes.
that's the first thing I look for. I'm like, where's the signature?
Yeah, had to go in a couple pages, but I promise you it's signed because I remember writing it out. So yes. So
Thank you
glad you
very
got
much.
it. Katie, I
It
know
was
you got
very
it. Frank, your
thoughtful.
box is coming. You'll probably get it
I
today
got
or
it.
tomorrow. Oh, you did? Awesome.
I got it yesterday. Yep.
Good stuff. Okay.
Thank you.
Good
You're
stuff. Well,
welcome.
thank you guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I'll upload this into the Facebook group. I'll see you on there. And then we're back to 11 o'clock next week, Eastern.
All right,
All
sounds
right.
great. Thank you guys.
Have a
Yeah,
great
have a
rest
good
of the
luck.
day. Proud of you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.